Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can with this one. I got to get going here. But I wanted to cover some stuff that's coming up with this whole releasing of the Hinman emails and documents. So this is from John Deaton. It says, I'm waiting on Judge to arrive, and I'm thinking about the big show Wednesday on Crypto Law US. So he's talking about with this panel down here. It says, it's not just the Hinman emails being unsealed, but everything. He actually put these in caps. So he says, why do you think the SEC and Ripple agreed to a week extension? And a lot of people have been speculating on, the SEC just looking for other means to delay the release and the case a little bit longer. And other people are saying, maybe they're coming up with some sort of agreement behind closed doors. Nobody really knows, just kind of a waiting game. John Deaton continues here, says, tens of thousands of pages to go through. I predicted the redactions, refiling of everything will likely cost Ripple $250,000 in legal fees alone. Here's the judge's order, quote, these documents, which include legal briefs, Rule 56.1 statements, declarations, and other exhibits submitted in connection with the parties' motions for summary judgment. This includes the Hinman deposition that was redacted. So we played this video. I think it's from the PD whatever. What is that? Yeah, PBD podcast where he showed the documents and it was like literally 90% redacted. He continues. He says, here we go. He says, I guarantee you the conflicts of interest and gross appearances of impropriety will become even more evident. Remember this, Ripple asked about Hinman's prior connection or representation with Ethereum. Why would the SEC try and hide it? He continues, but it's not just about the SEC. We finally get to see specific evidence offered versus Ripple. Ripple wanted to redact evidence linking Ripple's revenue with XRP sales offered to Coinbase and others to list XRP, an amount of sales targeted at investors through programmatic sales. He continues, the judge stated this evidence cannot be redacted because Ripple's XRP sales and payment to third parties to list XRP, quote, directly pertains to Howey analysis. I've long said I'm confident Judge Torres rejects the SEC's overbroad theory that all sales of XRP are securities, no matter the seller or circumstances surrounding the sale. But until I see the evidence of specific offer sales, I can't predict if the SEC wins on some level. Tomorrow we get to see how strong or weak the SEC's case is regarding those specific sales. Remember, even just the offer can violate Section 5 of the Securities Act, and that's the SEC's strongest argument. Finally, quote, whether the court ultimately determines the Hinman speech documents are admissible, just reminding people that the judge can find that there are disputed facts for a jury to decide. Remember, Ripple argued that fair notice issue is for the jury. So kind of breaking this down from my understanding, I think Bearable Bull kind of hits it on the head. Like he's saying here, too many people are expecting good news tomorrow, just an observation. So this, to me, this kind of is just saying, a couple different things here. So obviously they tend to say, don't follow the herd when it comes to the crypto space. So like if everyone's saying one thing, usually it's the opposite, meaning like, we're super bullish, but then the opposite happens. So in this sense, he's saying, well, I'm kind of observing that, too many people are bullish based on this release of these Hinman emails and the rest of the documents. So what does that necessarily mean? We're going to see some bearish sentiment. Like what is it going to be the opposite? But then again, like, especially reading through John Deaton's stuff here, is like, he's pretty much like almost in a sense prepping us to say like, hey, like, this doesn't mean that, Ripple's going to get an outright win, which he stated that in video, obviously, in his live streams and stuff. But it's like just kind of prepping us as to, there's other things, other matters that may go to, a jury trial, and, SEC may have, a win in certain areas. All the way in games. I think the documents are supposed to be released tomorrow, and then obviously they're having their panel on the 14th. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening. And Metal Lawman kind of hits it here how the week's gonna go. It says the next 36 hours will be critical for crypto. Today, 5 p.m., Binance files its opposition to SEC's motion for order freezing assets of Binance US. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. hearing on SEC's motion to freeze assets, and then tomorrow sometime, release of summary judgment exhibits, including Hinman emails and Ripple case. So it's going to be a lot of moving parts, a lot of excitement. There's going to be a lot of videos out there, obviously on this channel as well. We're going to cover kind of what's going on. Moving on here, Wheezy X, I put this up, says, what's the sentiment on what happens tomorrow? Will the Hinman emails be released, or will there be some kind of delay last minute? And look at this. I mean, it's almost an even split. And look, you got people saying the delays, how many? 192 votes. I mean, not that many votes, but, there's 22 hours left. So kind of interesting to see kind of how that looks toward the end of the day here. Here's something important when it comes to this, this lawsuits against Binance US, and Coinbase. So John Deaton obviously had put out a Google Doc in a sense, just like how he did for, the Ripple case and XRP Army. Is like, hey, Ripple's representing Ripple. They're not representing XRP investors. So we, signed up to be a part of the class action lawsuit. And John Deaton's kind of doing the same thing here for the Coinbase. And, hey, you can sign up and, represent us. And that's kind of like what he's talking about throughout this thread. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to go in here, but he's pretty much painting a picture saying, if we were just to leave it into, Ripple the company's hands, they're not representing us. They're representing them and their business and their investors. For us, we need to have a voice for ourselves. So he's kind of giving some information here to say like, hey, if you feel the need and you feel like you want to join the fight, I think he says right here, says, your name and email will not be shared or provided to anyone unless ordered by a court. Again, this isn't about whether Binance or Coinbase did anything wrong. They have lawyers to defend them. Some of us just don't want the SEC gaslighting the court that they're protecting us. So pretty much, and he says it right here as well. He goes, I know that many of the respected XRP YouTubers probably have a bad taste in their mouths from the suspending and delisting of XRP on Coinbase, and or because Coinbase has not since unsuspended or relisted XRP. Believe me, I get it. But this isn't about assisting Coinbase. It's about making sure we speak for ourselves. If you believe the SEC is doing the right thing, or you believe the SEC will have token holders' best interests at heart, you shouldn't sign up. If you believe otherwise, you should consider it. And that's pretty much the overwhelming point he's trying to make there. And obviously, I'm a huge advocate of, standing up for ourselves. Obviously, the XRP community is big on that. And we clearly know that Chairman Gensler and SEC can care less about us, our financial future, in our families. It's quite evident. He's about himself, lining his own pockets, his own personal agenda, and, protecting the incumbents. And then he goes, over 1,000 people have joined to make sure the SEC doesn't speak for them. Coinbase and Binance have lawyers who will defend their interests. We need to speak for ourselves through organizations like DCTA.org and Amicus Curiae where appropriate. I wanted to touch on this because I had covered a little bit about blockchain backers, kind of his theory and his process when it comes to, I forgot the words he used, all this technical analysis words, but pretty much talking about like market structures, ebbs and flows of the markets and history per the crypto market in particular. Like he's saying, if you really look at the charts and how things lay out, it's not like, some great news narrative came out and changed or changed the market. He's like, no, if you look at it, like, for instance, we'll just say like, hey, it was per history, we hit this line around this time in the market cycle, right? He was saying like, if we're down here, there's going to be some sort of narrative or news based on the people that kind of are trying to manipulate the market that's going to get it there. So he goes, still underneath the 0.786 Fibonacci 1 week later, the SEC showed up right on time. So he's pretty much talking about how like, things happen. Obviously there's black swans and all that stuff, but he's pretty much showing like things happen in the markets. And a lot of it is manipulated, and there's a reason. Obviously, if you look at, you zoom out, you take a big, a big look at the bigger picture, and you start seeing, since crypto and Bitcoin's inception, and the market trends all the way back from 2010, 2011 till now, and then you start implementing like the major, news narratives that were popping out, whether it was positive or negative, and you can kind of see how they correlate and kind of go hand in hand with the charts. And that's kind of like what he conveys in some of his videos. And I wanted to just bring that awareness out there. Just like you got to do your best to make sure that you're kind of taking in as much information as you possibly can, especially within this, this new infant space. It really is infant. I mean, obviously it's over $1 trillion market cap, but it's still super early and it's easily manipulated clearly. So, he kind of has that whole, don't be fooled by these, by the narratives as if like, this is so cool. It happened because of this. It happened because Elon said that. It's like, well, look at the charts as well and kind of see that, dude, this is kind of how it's been. Interesting. I just wanted to say that. And then we're going to end on this one here. Senator Warren Davidson. Today I filed the SEC Stabilization Act to restructure the SEC and fire Gary Gensler. U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. It's time for real reform and to fire Gary Gensler as chair of the SEC. I mean, this is music to our ears, man. The XRP community's been literally screaming and shouting that from the rooftops for some time now. But that's what I have for you. I really hope you guys are holding strong out there. And like I tell you, being diligent about, your investment and trading strategies, and taking in as much information as you can and formulating it to fit your own narrative and your own, like I said, investment and trading strategy. Make sure you come to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto's Key One. I really appreciate your support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.